Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. I'm going to be so late. Why did they have to announce this thing so last minute? I got to make it on time.
All aboard!
What? Nathan? You're the conductor of the Nintendo hype train.
Yes, sir. Gotta pay the bills somehow.
All right, awesome. Is Donnie here yet?
Donnie? Oh, yeah, he's in the back already. But be careful. He's gonna be a little feisty when he wakes up. I had to sedate him using some pretty strong stuff because, he was super hyped, and I just had to do it. Otherwise, he wouldn't even, stop bouncing around so I could get... It was ridiculous, okay?
And I'm assuming Jason is already here, too.
Jason? Man, he's in the dining car. And he, as soon as he walked in, asked me what the taps were on this train. And I was like, how did you know this train has a dining car? And I told him that there's, some good stuff over in the listing and to take a look. And he's like, went over there, looked at the list, and he's like, Milky Pumpkin. I was like, what? And he just ran away. So I'm assuming he's in the dining car with some sort of Milky Pumpkin. Listen to me. You hop on this train right now, or this whole thing is done. All right? If you don't get on this train, Donnie's asleep, and I'm betting by now Jason is plastered. So it's just me right now. And if you don't get on, I'm leaving. Okay? Seriously. It's gonna be done. I'm had it. I had to listen. I was saving that beer for something special, okay? And that sedation that I gave to Donnie, let's just say that was hard to come by. And I needed that for the bear that I've been hunting in the woods, and now the bear's gonna run free. The bear is gonna come and attack me when I least expect it, and there's nothing I can do now. Donnie took my sedation for the bear. Listen, get on this train right now, or else there's no point in any of this.
All right, it's now or never. Let's do this. Hello everybody and welcome to Play Some Video Games. Once again, we are revisiting the Nintendo Shack in the only gaming podcast with more configurations and attachments than the Nintendo Switch, which ironically enough, we're here to talk about today because we could not wait to get it out into your ears. So with us this week, of course, is Donnie. Hi Donnie, how we doing?
Greetings, Koopa Legs!
Donnie's very hyped. And, of course, we have the one, the only Jason. Jason, how are we?
I don't know how to even follow up to that. Like, Donnie broke my hype levels. I can't.
We should have saved him for last, probably, in hindsight. But we do have one more guest in the Nintendo Shack. Not quite sure how he found his way in. I think he picked the lock or came in through the basement window. But either way...
we have a basement?
Well, a sub-basement.
Oh, okay.
We're all in the basement, but Nathan's not on that level. Because Nathan is, in fact, in the Nintendo Shack, joining us this evening. Nathan, how are we, sir?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Serenity be with you.
Like the incontinence pads?
Serenity is the incontinence pad. How's it going,
Pretty
guys?
sure it is.
Strong start, I was trying to bring the hype level back down to a, kind of even everything out because someone's got to be the anchor.
That's true. And if anybody's going to weigh us down this evening, it will probably be Nathan.
That's right.
Oh.
So before we dive into the main reason we're here, let's just do a quick weekly check-in and see what we've been up to. Let's throw it to Donnie first. Donnie, what have you been up to, man?
I want to say one thing that I'm not up to, and I'm not up to playing Call of Duty on my PlayStation 4. I pre-ordered it, and I went through the rigmarole of trying to get the 30-day early version of Modern Warfare, and it's in my downloads, it's in my account, I got the code, I redeemed it, did all that, but when I go to download it from the store, it won't download. I've called, I've chatted, I emailed, I've done everything there, and they just keep referring me back to each other. I waited like 2 weeks, still didn't get it to unlock. My genius idea? I'm going to just cancel my pre-order and buy another one and get a new code. Guess what still hasn't unlocked? My new code. So guess what my solution to this problem is, Nathan?
Sell your PS4.
Play Battlefield?
I am getting Call of Duty for Xbox. I'm like, you know what? Screw this 30 days. I'm moving on because this is ridiculous.
You couldn't wait for that greatness?
I couldn't wait for that greatness. The greatness has made me wait a little too long the last year or so. I'm playing Gears. I'm really loving Gears, playing Gears. Got through Act 2. I think I'm all the way through it. Maybe in the last chapter of Act 2. Played a little Forza, not as much as I wanted to. I did open up my next festival, so I believe I'm one festival away from joining the club. And then I've been playing some Power Star Golf. Now that I've just destroyed everything Mario Golf has to offer, and I kicked the Vita to the curb, I'm just playing Power Star Golf because it's one of the few good golf games that I have left available to me. And that is it for my weekly update.
Cool. Jason, how about you? What have you been up to, if anything, sir?
Gaming wise, the only thing I've been playing is Super Mario and Luigi Dream Team. I'm still kind of slogging through that, but I even haven't played as much as that this week as I would have liked to. But besides the occasional Awesome Knots match, because that's what I always play, apparently. Still, I've been playing that, and I was diving into the rumors of everything that was going to lead up to this week that we'll get into. But that was really, I mean, that's everything that I've dealt with. I mean, I haven't. Man, it feels like I should have been playing more, but I definitely have not. It's been a slower week in that regards, I guess.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So for me, I did wrap up Uncharted 4, and I won't give any spoilers because I know Nathan is waiting to get to that at some point off his to-do list. But I will say the third act of that game saved it for me. So I did enjoy the game despite the couple nitpicky things I had. Overall, I do think it was a great game, and the ending was fantastic. So no arguments there. I am also playing currently and reviewing, which should hopefully be up tomorrow as you're hearing this, possibly. A little game on the 3DS known as Pirate Pop Plus that was made by the same developers that did Runbow. Not to get too much into... Oh, yeah, that's right. Not to get too much into it now because I want you guys to check out the review on the site, but if you're a fan of like old school Game Boy games and arcade style games, so it's not necessarily a game you can beat, this is a lot of fun, and it definitely invokes retro gaming, and not in just the manner where you see with a lot of indie games now where they just make it 8-bit and say, hey, it's a retro game. This is in all aspects a retro game. I could have played this game 10 years ago, 13 years ago easily. I'm having a ton of fun with it too, so check out that review. It will be up shortly if it's not up already by the time you're hearing this.
I also believe from the eShop update, I believe it's cross-buy. One of the few 3DS Wii U cross-buy games.
Ooh, I'll have to check that out because I've only played it on the 3DS, so I did not see if it was downloaded to my Wii U, but I'll check on that. And then the last thing I played, which I haven't played too much in it because I'm not feeling it as much as I was hoping, is Wolfenstein: The Old Blood. I played the New Order, and I did really enjoy that game. This one just doesn't seem to have the same, formula, which you'd think you'd just take the same game and just give it a new story, and this one just doesn't seem to be as good. It seems slower and clunky, so I don't know if I'm even going to bother finishing. I might just send it back to GameFly and see if I can get something else before my my month subscription for $1 is over. But we shall see. But that's it for me for gaming. So, Nathan, sir, what have you been up to? What do you want to talk about?
You guys mentioned cross-buy a second ago, so I just want to lead off with this. Before this recording, shortly before, I tried out the Forza Horizon 3 PC to Xbox One crossplay. So I played with somebody that was on Xbox One. I was on a PC. Man, it works really well. It's fantastic. It's seamless. You wouldn't even realize that the other person's on the other console. I also had the party chat open from the Xbox app on my end to his Xbox party chat, as you would typically do. And guys, this is awesome. Being able to play Windows 10 to Xbox One it's really cool. So Jason, one of these days, maybe we'll be able to play a game.
I need a game.
You got to get Gears, Jason.
I would like to get back into Gears. I haven't even launched the single player for Gears 3. I'm definitely interested in Gears 4.
Go to Gears 4. Nathan, I too played the I didn't play crossplay with the other people, but I tried the Xbox Anywhere where I booted up on my PC Forza, and my save sync. I got this weird message, and I think I messaged you about it. It said, "We can't download your save right now. Do you want to continue?" And I was like, "Well, that sucks. Sure." And then my save was right where I left it off anyway. So I just got like a weird prompt, but it totally worked. Worked great. So it was like just having a mobile Xbox on my PC. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. And it's like you said with that mobile sync. So they save the save files up to the server, obviously, and they pull it down to whichever, if you're on an Xbox One or if you're on a PC, wherever you're at. So your save just travels with you. And it's fantastic. I love it. And I think the last time I recorded PSVG, I wasn't given Forza Horizon 2 yet. And so since that time, I've played it, according to my Xbox app, one day, 11 hours and 19 minutes. So that's actually playtime.
Yeah, you're actually like 20 hours further into the game than me.
So I've completed the actual last showcase. I got to the credit screen, if that actually means anything for a Forza game, because you just keep playing after that. It's a fantastic game. I know, Donnie, you've already sung the praises way too much. So I just encourage anybody that has an Xbox One to at least try the demo of this game, and then, check it out. It's really great. It's a great game.
It's so good.
Other than that, I also played I was looking at games the other night, and I was like, I don't know what to play. So I played IDARB. Have you guys ever played IDARB yet?
IDARB? No.
Is that that's the little platformer 1v1 like sword fighting game?
Close, but it's not 1v1. I mean, it can be 1v1, but it could also be like 4v4 at least.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
didn't know that either.
Yeah, and it's not sword fighting. You have a ball, and you have like the two goals, and it's like 8-bit kind of, and it just goes between the two.
Donnie, you and I were thinking about the same game. That wasn't. We were thinking of.
I'm thinking about a different game.
Yeah,
'cause I played a little bit of a game with somebody that was like a sword fighting game. You're like on a platform, and it was 1v1, and it was a big indie hit. And I don't remember the name of the game, but I played it at a friend's house. I thought that's what you're talking about. Sorry.
Oh, this is not that game.
Nidhogg.
Nidhogg.
Yes. Thank you. Sorry.
But anyway, IDARB, fantastic game. If you have Xbox One, I think it might even be on PS4 now, and maybe even PC. Oh, I know for sure it's on PC because it has cross-play between PC and Xbox One. So wow. IDARB, amazing game. But I also did go and I played some Battlefield 1 via the EA Access early, whatever they call it, early game time. And I got through the campaign that they have available to you. They just have like the intro, a couple missions in the actual intro to kind of get you familiarized with the controls. And then they have one guy, his mission with his tank to kind of play through. I think it's like 5 of those, and then that's all they have for the EA Access early trial. Because I'm sure if they gave the entire story, it would be people who just want to play the story would be able to play it in 10 hours. So they got to figure a way to limit that. But you can play the entire multiplayer at this point if you would like to. I haven't got a chance to really jump into the multiplayer yet, but so I played the beta of this game, and I was not feeling the beta. However, now that I actually play the proper game, it's a lot better than I remember the beta being, and I'm actually pretty impressed with it. The visuals are stunning, and it looks fantastic. And I'm actually, beforehand I was looking more for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare to be like my shooter kind of the year, but now I want to play through the story of Battlefield because it looks pretty good. It looks like it'll be interesting. So I'm impressed with what I've seen so far. Other than that, something I was impressed by, and I know we're going to save one of these for last, but there were 3 trailers today that I want to talk about. One, I'll save for later because I know Donnie wants to talk about that too. Maybe Jason, maybe Kevin. The other one is for a little game called Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys ever played Red Dead Redemption the first?
Yes.
I have.
I don't get to have fun.
That's true. Rockstar hates PC.
Actually,
Well, I had a 360, but I just never.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Jason, you're in luck because if you are so inclined, Red Dead Redemption is coming to PS Now, and that is available to you PC guys. So, huh?
Yeah, but that takes money away from the Nintendo Switch fund.
Yeah, but isn't that like only $5 or something to
I
just
would
rent
just
it
tell
for a
you,
week?
just don't play it, Jason. I know you. I know the games you like. Don't play Red Dead. Let me
Don't play it.
save you from the torture that I was put through.
Torture! Good lord.
I don't like it, Nathan. I don't like that game. And I like Grand Theft Auto games. Like, I do. And I like Westerns. Like, there's no real reason that I can give you that's concrete at a macro level. I wasn't enamored with, what's his name? Marston, right?
John Marston.
John Marston.
Yeah. I wasn't enamored with his story. I really didn't enjoy the world. Like, the environment didn't suck me in. I understand that 7 years ago it was incredible, but it's incredibly barren. You know, like, that game seems to me
It's
like
the Wild West. Of course it's barren.
I know it. Of course, it's barren, but that doesn't mean it makes for a good video game because it's realistic. Like, nobody wants to just ride around on a horse in empty desert for hours at a time.
But it's not empty. There's cougars.
I will tell you, to credit the game, it's not awful. I always speak to it like it's awful. It's not awful. I played it to the end because the long story goes, my GameStop guy was like, you have to play this game. You'll like it. I played hours of it. I was like, I don't like it. He's like, did you get to Mexico? I was like, not yet. He's like, well, you have to play it to Mexico. So I went back and gave it the old college try a second time. I beat the game. Just wasn't my favorite open world adventure game. Definitely not as good as GTA 4 or 5 in my opinion. Like, and I was kind of coming from it as a GTA fan first, and it really wasn't what I was looking for. I kind of thought the missions were, Now, I loved Undead Nightmare. One of the best DLC, maybe my favorite DLC of all time. Like, I loved Undead Nightmare. I thought it was great. And if they ever remaster, I'll probably give both a try again, because I do feel like that game, if they actually remastered it, not just visually upgraded, but if they kind of went back to it, I don't expect them to do that. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about the trailer. I
Yes.
saw the trailer. What did you think about it?
I thought it was stunning. I thought it looked gorgeous.
It's visually stunning.
It is.
Sure,
it is
absolutely.
Visually,
Absolutely.
it looks fantastic for a game that's a year away from being released. That means they're just going to be polishing it up, and it already looks amazing. And yeah, there were some things in the trailer that were definitely going to be probably like the CG movies, but there were also things that looked like, oh, that's in-game engine. So I was really impressed by what I saw. However, this I wouldn't really even call a trailer. It was more of a teaser, just to kind of whet your appetite for something to come later on, as far as a bigger trailer, maybe at E3 or at a big games conference next year. But that game is coming out next year, coming out next fall, and it's going to be a huge game because there's a massive amount of people that are talking about this game, and I wasn't really under the impression that this was that popular of a game back in the time.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I don't think it was back then, but yeah, the hype is real now for sure.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I mean-
Rockstar.
Yeah,
That's true.
but I
Now,
mean,
I-
Rockstar also did table tennis and bowling, and those aren't talked about like GTA.
Yeah, but those are different. I mean, there is a different Rockstar like post GTA 4. Like, there's a Rockstar pre that and post that, especially coming off the heels of GTA 5. GTA
true.
5 is so good. I mean, and even if you don't like it, it's still so good, just at like a levels and systems level. Just all the things that you can do into that game seamlessly are like really incredible. I wanted to ask you specifically, because I know you're a bigger fan than me, how do you feel about it being a year out? Because I think a lot of people were kind of hoping that Red Dead was going to kind of, not stealth drop it like it's out today, but a lot of people kind of look at Red Dead, Rockstar, as that type of company that can go, you know what, our game's coming out in 3 months, boom, here it is. And I think a lot of people are kind of wanting that. And to, people are getting into the trailer, they're all excited. And at least I saw a lot of reactions on Twitter today that trailer looks great, game looks great, can't wait to play it. Kind of wish it was out earlier than next fall.
So I wish Rockstar is one of 2, maybe 3 companies that could do that. You're absolutely right. They could drop it and say it's available next month or something like that. But as far as it being a year away, it's kind of like the NX. I'm glad it's been announced because it's been speculated for so long, so that they can just kind of get that, yes, it's coming out of the way, and just people can chill out for a bit and let it come out. As far as it being next fall, I do wish it was sooner. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I see it and I want to play it because it looks like it's ready, from that trailer. But honestly, I think that games shouldn't be announced when they're more than a year away anyway. So I'm fine with it being a year. I wish it was sooner, but what games besides Fallout 4 have been announced and then come out within a year? They're few and far between, if any, right?
Sure. Yeah, and I would say, to your credit and in your defense, I don't think anybody has any doubt that they're going to hit their release window, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
This isn't like a game where everybody's kind of skeptical and looking at it and going, it's probably going to get delayed. Or, they're not going to launch it in the fall because they're going to get drowned out by Call of Duty. Like, that's not Rockstar. When they tell you it's coming, and that's where it's going to be, and we're likely going to see everybody else move out of the way from Red Dead. So, it's going to be a massive hit. Huge game.
Yeah.
See, I just wish personally that it was... I mean, this would make an epic summer game. You think about the summer drought, you could get lost in a world like
that.
This for
I always call it
months.
that Last of Us Uncharted window where they hit late in May, right before E3, and you just kind of play it all summer. Yeah. I think a lot of people were hoping that this was going to fill that window.
Right, and I think that kind of is the only swing and a miss I saw. So I personally wasn't crazy about Red Dead, just like you, Donnie, for the same reasons, but this got me wanting to go back and revisit it. So I am mad it's only going to be on PlayStation Now because I'm not doing subscription service for that. I would purchase it and play it again, possibly, and give it another shot because this trailer teaser did get me excited. But yeah, the fall window, I mean, Rockstar is solid. I think I remember the last time I remember them saying something was going to be released and got pushed back might have been like Vice City. That's how far back we're going, and they've come a long way, and they're known as a company who takes their time with their games. Like, they put a lot of development time into all their titles. Very few things come out in 3 or 4 years from them. They've always been much longer than that. So you gotta remember Grand Theft Auto 5, and it launched on the last gen. So to be another year out, this is a long development cycle, which is what they're known for. So I'm excited. I like the idea. I'm excited for it. But yeah, the fall window time, that's a tough time. And I know it's a big game. It's definitely AAA level game. But I think there's going to be a lot going head to head next fall, considering how much of a semi drought, other than on Xbox, this season was. So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. But I'm excited.
I've got the highest expectations coming off of GTA 5. I mean, you could play with multiple characters, multiple storylines interwoven between each other. You could go golfing, great driving mechanics, jump out of helicopters. I know all that stuff's not going to be in here, but I'm expecting this just sandbox full of toys to do whatever you want in this Western world. And then,
but that's not what Red Dead is.
I know, but that's what Rockstar is. So, I'm expecting. I mean, they always raise the bar with every game. Red Dead raised the bar on Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, I mean, I expect them to, they're going to tailor it to that world, but I still expect the game to be over the top, very big and grand, more so than just your linear story game.
Yeah. But the trailer was very short. Obviously, we've talked more than the length than the trailer actually was. And I do have to say that, again, it looks fantastic, looks stunning, and I want to play it. Looking forward to next fall. The other trailer that I want to talk about, that I know this is more of a video game podcast, so I won't spend much time, but it looked fantastic, and it reminded me of a video game, and that is Logan. And I don't know about you guys, but I got some Last of Us vibes from the Logan trailer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I said the day before, 2 days before, when they released the photo of Logan, and I said, that looks a lot like the Last of Us cover, and I even put the side-by-side photos there, and sure enough, when the trailer came out, it got the same exact vibe. So I wonder if the director had any sort of inspiration there. But it looks great, so I'm excited. I've been a little leery of all the X-Men movies and even the standalone Wolverine movies. But this one looks like it might be a good one.
Yeah.
Obviously his last one, but it might be a good one.
Yeah, it looks like... I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we chatted a little bit about it earlier, and I know that I've got two of the bigger X-Men and comic book fans here. Maybe you guys can school me here, because I have no idea who's in that trailer except for Xavier and Wolverine. And I know that I'm not the only one. I know Chris over at Married to the Games is tweeting the exact same stuff. He's like, I have no idea what's going on in this trailer.
The girl, I think, is probably X-23.
Yeah, I think so too.
The villain, I'm not sure who that is. I want to say some relation to the Mr. Sinister, possibly.
Yeah, I thought it was confirmed that it's supposed to be Mr. Sinister as the villain.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. That was confirmed a little while ago.
So
before the trailer even.
Yeah.
My biggest question was like the timeline overall. I thought Xavier was dead, and but I'm being told like this is like I guess like decades before the X-Men or after. Like I wasn't really clear, Kevin.
So here's how that goes.
Thank you.
Forget X-Men 3.
Yeah.
X-Men
Which one's
3,
that one again? That's the one
one
where
of the
Xavier
last
dies?
Yeah, one where Professor X is killed by Phoenix.
All right, so just throw it out.
Yep, because in the Days of Future Past one, which is the one where they go travel forth in time and back in time, they reset events, and so they basically rewrite the history. So Professor X is alive, Cyclops is alive, Beast is there, everybody's there, and Storm is still there, and she's happy, something different. And
We done screwed up. We got to fix all this.
Yeah. So that's what changed when Days of Future Past came around, and this timeline is supposed to be like the Old Man Logan storyline is years and years and years past the actual X-Men. So like all the rest of the X-Men are dead in that storyline. And this can't be following that same storyline because Charles is there. And that doesn't make any sense if that's trying to do the same thing. So I'm curious to see what the actual timeline is when you get to this movie. Like if it's supposed to be 100 years in the future and somehow Charles is still alive or something. Or maybe it's just an apparition and he's just seeing visions because he locked himself in his mind, maybe. Maybe he's just a whole mind aberration. Yeah. Could be possible.
It's a hologram of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
There you go. So that's a quick discussion of the Logan trailer. It looks fantastic, and I can't wait to see more about that movie.
Okay. Hopefully
that's me.
Some other clueless listeners.
Just go read Old Man Logan. Like I said on the chat earlier, the movie's probably gonna be good, but Old Man Logan, the source material is probably still gonna be better. But we shall see. So, gentlemen, let's move on to the main topic, if you will, the main event for this evening. If you're listening to this and you have not seen Nintendo's unveiling, if you will, of the Nintendo Switch, formerly known as the Nintendo NX, do yourself a favor, hop on over to the website and watch that trailer before going any further. Otherwise, you're going to have no clue what we're talking about. We'll wait. Go ahead. Come on.
I think Google said everybody watched it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, so then everybody watched it, so you're good. So we're going to move along then. Guys, it finally happened. Calm down, Donnie.
I've been waiting all day for this.
We know. All right, so we broke down some notes here. We'll kind of just go checkbox by checkbox here and kind of talk about the things. And I think the first thing to talk about is the form factor of the console itself, the different configurations we saw. Yes, it's a home console, but wait, it can be taken out and walk around like a 3DS, if you will, with the sides, the controls right on the side like a bigger screen 3DS. It can be propped up like a kickstand, and you can take the controllers off and play two players, and you can do local multiplayer like the old school LAN parties back in the day, but much, much easier. I mean, we just saw all these different configurations with controllers and attachments and to your TV, not to your TV. It was exciting, and honestly, so a lot of the rumors said it was going to be like this. I still think while they were on the same track, what we actually saw still was a little bit different. But guys, I'm a huge fan right off the bat. I'll say that right there. The form factor looks amazing. I actually sent the trailer to my wife, who probably didn't care at all, but I made her watch it anyway. And I just said, it's incredible, isn't it? And she admitted, she's like, yeah, because it just looked amazing that if it really works in this fashion as seamlessly as it did in the trailer, this is amazing. You have your console. I'm going to take this tablet off my console, and I'm just going to walk and keep playing the same exact thing as I was playing. Literally mind blown there. Like it was true, and I'd been doubting it, and as I've told Donnie, and I know Jason said the same thing as me quite a few times, is I'm tired of the rumors. I don't care what people are, thinking it's going to be. I just want to see it. Now that I've seen it, I can be excited and say, it's amazing. Jason, why don't you go next? What did you think about the different configurations and the forms and everything like that?
Well, the first thing that struck me as like, holy crap, the all the mock-ups and stuff are actually not too far off. I mean, I was really just surprised that it looked so similar to a lot of these artist renditions that we've seen circling, for so long, and that we actually got what we thought it was going to be. This hybrid, portable / home console, and I'm really impressed with just the way from a design aesthetic, like how it looks. It looks like a nice piece of hardware. It has it looks sophisticated. It looks like techie, and it looks it kind of like we've seen these quotes that Nintendo really looks up to Apple as a company and what they do, but this does seem like just more of a sleeker product than what we've seen from than what we've seen, especially from like the Wii U. I like that approach, and for me it's kind of like this is what Wii U is like a beta test for this all this time. This seems like to be like really what they wanted the gamepad to always be in a way, and like looking at all the different, like you said, the form factors for it. Personally, for me, thinking about how I would use a device like this, I have a feeling that a lot of my use is going to be right when it's in that tablet mode, because I like to be in shared space, and especially with what the wife's doing and with a little one on the way, that be around the same areas and things like that. And it's just nice to have that option that I can just, oh, you want to watch TV now? Okay. And I just pick it up off the station and boom, the game's still right there on the screen. Pretty exciting. I'm not too keen on the little baby controllers when it's detached, but I like that we've just got a ton of options there. You've got your standard console, you've got the ability to slap some things on it, and what I was really taken by was like I like how we use options, which is the controls too. We have what looks to appear to be like a Pro controller, and then we have the option that you can take these. We'll talk about them more, but we can take the side controllers and you can throw them into a little dock and they become a controller, and really cool stuff. It's just nice to see like this technology that I didn't think could be possible or how it was going to work, and there it is. It's right there in front of me.
It's true. And before we throw it to, we'll go with Nathan next to see if he wants to drag it down, being the anchor and all here. A point that you said is like, it seemed like the Wii U was a beta test for this. So I had kind of always seen, looking back at Nintendo, how they've learned something from almost every console. So you look at, if you think back to the GameCube days, you used to be able to connect your Game Boy Advance to your GameCube.
Yep.
And there were second screen add-ons, and there were also downloadable games that would come from your GameCube to your GBA that you could take on the go. Yes, at the time you were limited to, okay, you can't turn your GBA off because you'll lose that data. It didn't have a way of storing it per se, but you see stuff like that. You see the 3DS, you see the second screen on the Wii U, you see, the motion controllers and how those interact with, the original Wii. You just see the evolution of how Nintendo's always like, okay, we're going to release this product, and when we move on to the next iteration, we're going to take something we learned from the past and kind of pull it forward and kick it up. But one thing you said that I also want to highlight too is the quality of the design here looks leaps and bounds better than anything we've seen on Nintendo for quite some time. I mean, this looks like a quality made product, unlike the Wii U, which is big clunky plastic controller. Even the base console itself is very just big and round, and it's just kind of weird. It's just always had that. The Wii itself was an odd design. The controls were an odd design. But yeah, this is just the next evolution, which I think is amazing. So Nathan, what say you on the form factor design?
Form factor.
Yes,
First
sir.
off, can I make mention of something in the trailer?
Of course. Oh, your PSA? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, when playing a video game, it is fine and dandy to play a video game in your house and even to take it with you. However, if you have a little four-legged friend, he likes you too, and he wants to play with you, not only to be played with. So, ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to not do what was displayed in the Switch reveal trailer, and play with your dog. Take him out and actually play with him. Take a Frisbee. Don't take the Switch. And see what happens, because you might be a little more, might enjoy yourself a little more. Because, hey, he needs help. He needs loving. Or she. So, the NX can wait. I keep calling it NX. The Switch can wait. Please, walk your dog with
You forgot the other
just
part.
your dog. Oh,
Yeah,
and
you forgot the other part. What's the accessory that your dog should have, like a controller on the Switch?
a leash?
Yeah, the dog didn't have a leash.
That's right. So you should probably
boy.
take your dog out on a leash, because you don't know if there's going to be wild animals along the way, like a bunny or something like that. You're like, don't chase after the bunny. He's not going to listen to you because he's a dog.
He's
But-
a Nintendo game owner. His dog is superbly trained.
I'm sure he is. So just, ladies and gentlemen, please take your dogs on leashes and play with your dogs when they're out. See? She's
Stop podcasting. I want to go on a walk.
go.
So it's a Switch.
That's right. So, but anyway, form factor, I think it actually looks pretty cool. And, a long time ago, we were on an episode, and I think Donnie or someone asked me what it would take for me to be excited about Nintendo. And I think that they did it with this form factor. It's actually something that I'm looking forward to in a way now, because the DS never had any allure for me. I honestly just don't care about a completely portable system, because I have my phone if I want to do anything game related or something like that outside of the house. So the thing that's nice about this is, yeah, it's a dock, so you can put it in your house and then take it and go. Let's say you want to play Zelda or whatever, and you want to just take it with you if you go on a plane, like they showed on the actual commercial. So that spoke to me pretty much, because, as you guys know, I travel a little bit. So being able to do that sounds actually pretty cool. But yeah, it looks great. I'm not actually sure the actual dimensions. Do we know the dimensions of the screen size?
Jason posted a little analysis that somebody broke down, I think, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
they're
ours
expecting
texting,
6.5 inch screen.
Yeah, it's 6.5 inch screen.
So that's only that's about the same size as an iPad mini, maybe a little smaller than an iPad mini, right?
I have no idea.
Because those are about 7
I'm not
inches
sure.
or
I
so.
don't have an iPad.
I think so, yeah.
So that's kind of what you're looking at, but you're looking at like double the thickness, it looks like, of an iPad mini.
Yeah.
It's
The
quite
battery
bigger
power.
than a 3DS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The battery power is going to be the next issue that could arise. And, if you do take it out and you go on the go and you play something somewhere, how long you can actually do it is going to be a factor because of the battery life. But, I mean, you want to be able to get that small form factor that's something that people can easily grab and go. And you just kind of average out, okay, how long do you think people actually want to use this battery? And is the battery replaceable? Because a lot of devices now, it's all built in and you can't change it out if it goes bad. So I think that it'll be interesting to see when you actually get this in your hands, to see what it actually looks and feels like. So I'm looking forward to checking it out, like at a kiosk or something, when it gets closer.
Yeah. Excellent. So I think it's time to take the leash off this dog here, Donnie, and go ahead, boy. Go.
I'm so excited. Weeks and weeks and weeks of chasing the rumors and following everything and listening to so many podcasts, so I sounded like I knew what I was talking about on this podcast paid off, because I felt like I was a part of the ride, and it was so much fun, and it was just great watching the trailer. I watched the trailer 5 or 6, 7 different times today at various points, and each time I felt like I caught something new. I think it's great. I mean, it is exactly what we wanted when we discussed our NX ones. I said I was on board as long as it was a portable, and even up to the recent, even up to yesterday. I mean, first off, how fun was it to just have a surprise? Right? As much as Eurogamer nailed it with their drawing from months ago, we were still getting so much interference and stuff from people saying it was a home console, it was going to plug into the TV, it was, all these different rumors. Like, nobody knew. Like, even when we saw it and we're like, yeah, that looks like that one report, there were so many reports that nobody knew. So there was a genuine surprise. And nobody knew the name. Nobody knew that a Mario game was going to be on the trailer. Like, it was a genuine surprise. And it just felt a joy to sit there with the rest of the internet that cared today and all of us be surprised at the same time. Image Inform did a YouTube video about how they have an NX dev kit and have had it for a while. In their YouTube video that they recorded days ago, they didn't even know what the name was. So they kept calling it NX. They posted today, they're like, we don't even know what the name is yet either. So, I mean, hats off to Nintendo, first and foremost, for being able to keep a secret, which has proven tough for them and the industry as a whole. So the surprise was great. The form factor, it's a tablet. It looks like an iPad that you can stick 2 joysticks on the side of and play video games with actual buttons. And you have this neat little docking station that as soon as you click it in, it boosts your picture out to your TV, and then you can pick it up and take it on the go. We'll talk about all the accessories and stuff with it, but I mean, there's really not anything to touch on the form factor alone that you guys haven't already touched on. I mean, it looks great. I'm very excited to hold it. I want to see what the weight feels like and all that different stuff. I would say just on base appearance, as Jason alluded to, it looks sleek in its design. I love the matte finish that is on everything. So there's no glossy plastic, which has been like a Nintendo staple for a long time. And I'm just 100% on board. I can't wait to get one.
Awesome. I agree. The only thing I will note, though, is so everyone had mentioned, there's going to be some sort of docking station or booster or whatever they called it in different things, but nobody seemed to nail that drawing. So I'm wondering if the dev kits even had said docking station, because that was the one thing I noticed that seemed so far off of anything else we saw.
Oh, yeah.
The way it looked and operated, that seemed totally different. So I'm thinking the dev kits might have just had only been the tablet portion.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
The dev kits... didn't have the actual dock. They had like an output, so like you could just plug it up in an output, but like they didn't have
that would make sense, because they obviously had to have some way of hooking it to a larger screen, but I don't think that functionality was shown, because I feel like the accuracy of everything else we saw would have led us to believe that the docking would have been accurate as well, and it was just a little bit off there. So all right then, so we'll move on to the next topic then, and we'll talk about the controller. So in typical Nintendo fashion, they have to name something completely weird.
Is it all that weird? Is it weird?
Yeah, it is, and we'll let you talk. We'll let you talk first on this, Donnie. But the Switch controller is officially called the Joy-Con. So Nintendo describes each small half controller as the Joy-Con, with an analog stick and 4 face buttons on each. So think like SNES controller. You have the D-pad and you have the X, Y, A, B buttons. They can be used separately. They can be slotted to the side of the Switch body. That's the tablet mode you see in the trailer. Or they could be attached to this, quite honestly, very ugly-looking controller adapter to make it more like a classic-style controller, if you will.
Wow.
Come on. The Pro controller, we'll loop the Pro controller in this. We'll just talk about the controller. So there is an optional
set the stage there for everyone listening, Kevin.
Well, there is a Pro controller as well, and if you saw the trailer, which you should have if you're listening to this was the controller that looked much nicer, much more akin to a Xbox One controller or, a PS4 controller. That's the Pro controller. In my mind, if you're going to play at home, that's the controller to go with, because the other add-on thingy just looked like, okay, if I have no other option, I'll use this. That was the only downfall for me, is the controller wackiness, and Jason mentioned to the side controllers. They're a little bit iffy. On the tablet, I think it's going to work fine. I don't have any qualms with it at all. It's just, I think when you remove them, it seems a little odd to me, and then the name Joy-Con doesn't make any sense at all to me. But Donnie, take it away. So what are your thoughts on the multiple controller configurations that we'll talk about?
I've joystick controller. It's just like abbreviated. It doesn't really seem like it's all that crazy. I think a lot of people are making that connection just because it is Nintendo and they have the history of the Wii and the Wii U and stuff like that. To me, it seems pretty apparent. I mean, they could just call it the controller if they wanted to, but I don't mind it. The official name is the Joy-Con L and the Joy-Con R, and it looks like they'll sell, replacements at least. There is some.
Well, that's good.
There's some chatter on Twitter. There's possibly after launch they could sell different versions for different style games. So, but for those of you at home that haven't seen it yet, if you're trying to picture it in your head, you've got an iPad, you're holding it landscape or horizontal, and you've got a controller that connects to the left side of the iPad, and you got a controller that connects to the right side of the iPad. Both controllers have a stick and some buttons, and you can separate them, and you can play with them individually. So you could separate them and hand one to your friend, turn them sideways, just like an SNES controller, and all of a sudden you can play. It's also worth mentioning that both of them have dual triggers and bumpers. Dual triggers. So
yeah, I noticed that.
The thing that I've been kind of calling this thing the whole time, the thing I've been wanting, the thing we've talked about in the podcast is I wanted a Super Vita. That's what I wanted from Nintendo. Give me a Super Vita. Guess what that meant? Dual triggers. Can't play first-person shooters without dual triggers. You got to have both, not just one pair. You need two pairs. Well, this has got two pairs. I think the Joy-Con with the spacer in between. So, like, you separate the two, you put them back together with the spacer. I think it looks pretty neat. The sticks themselves by the triggers have a curve, so it's concave, and you can kind of hold sit your fingers there, and it's very flat. So I actually think that's fine, and I think I'll play with the spacer. I do agree with you that I think it looks retarded when you drop it into that little dock with the hand grips. Because then
the Joy-Con grip accessory.
Yeah, because then you've got this flat controller, but you've got this grip thing that sticks out beneath it, and then it looks like an alien or something. And you know what?
Yeah, it's oddly shaped.
What? Without holding it, who knows? It could be your favorite controller.
Exactly. If
That's
it's comfortable,
true.
I don't care.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So if it's super comfortable, nobody will care. And I doubt that. Typically, Nintendo does a really good job with ergonomics. For as much as people make fun of the gamepad,
that's true.
About it looking like a Fisher-Price toy, it's actually very comfortable to hold. It's very light. It's much lighter than it looks. So, I give them
unless you're playing Severed for hours, right?
With one hand, yes.
Because then my 7-year-old daughter can do that for hours.
That's right. That's right. Best YouTube comment ever. So. I like that. Now, onto the Pro Controller, it looks like a complete ripoff of the 360 controller, and I don't know anybody that's upset with that. Hats off to Nintendo for understanding a good thing when there's a good thing. You know what? It looks like they have a share button. There is an unnamed button that's completely blank in the trailers if you watch some serious analysis.
Yeah, I saw it's like a little square.
It is, and there's no icon or symbol on it. It's long been rumored that they have a share button, and if they do, hats off to them for realizing that PlayStation got something right. I wish when Xbox redesigned their controller, they put a share button on it. Because double tapping the home button to take a screenshot is absurd. I keep exiting out of the game and going to the home menu, and I come back and unpause and try it again. Like, when you see that somebody else does something good, just copy it. People have been copying Nintendo for years on controllers, like for decades. So I love that they see that's good. I love that they see the alternating sticks is good. No longer do you have both sticks above the buttons. So they alternate, which is how we want to play games. It's how we're most... I think for once, I might be able to pick up an Xbox game and then go pick up a Switch game and not have to reconfigure myself to get used to a new controller. How do you like the look of that Pro Controller with the matte gray, but it's transparent?
Translucent.
Yeah, and you can kind of see the grid and the stuff underneath it. So, yeah.
We need the atomic purple.
Atomic purple. That's the first thing I thought of, because if they do that, I promise you I will buy it.
There's already mock-ups of all of those coming in different colors and all that jazz. And Nintendo will eventually do that. One thing that I think fits in here with, at least in the controller portion, is in the trailer, there's absolutely no mention or demonstration of motion controls.
Yeah.
And even though it is a tablet and it has been confirmed that it has a touchscreen, they show nobody touching the screen. You know what that means to me? This trailer was aimed at gamers that like to play video games with controllers. Yeah. And I really enjoyed that. So I'm on board with all of the controller options that are there, with the exception of the little grip dock thing that you drop the actual controller into. That's a little weird.
Agreed. Jason, anything you'd like to add on the controllers that Donnie did not mention?
I think Donnie touched on most of everything. I with the name, I don't Joy-Con. come on. I mean, I don't like that. And when you do put it into the grip, it can't be worse than holding a Dreamcast controller. I mean,
that's true. That is true. That's very reminiscent of that.
That's just that you got this large disc-like thing, you're holding. And this, it's more, more squarish. But like we said, as long as it's comfortable, that's all that matters to me. With the Pro, I mean, definitely the Pro is going to be the way to go. It looks like they really just they combined, your 360 layout with their the classic controller Pro.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because that's the first thing I saw. I was like, that really looks familiar to me. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's why, because it looks like one of those. But it looks like, I think that's going to be the preferred way to go. I am intrigued by, with Splatoon being a game that they showed on here. Are we going to get, any sort of motion stuff? Because I know many people that are going to be very upset if there's no motion controls for their Splatoon. And it's interesting.
Not if they give me good sticks.
Yeah, I mean, if the sticks, I mean, I've always played shooters with the twin sticks, so I mean that's not a concern for me so much.
My problem with Splatoon in general with the sticks is that the buttons are below the sticks.
Yeah,
and like the sticks are weirdly placed. If they give me a comfortable controller and the sticks work well, I'll play with sticks.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, again, it's all about how it feels, and again, we can't. You can't discern that from video and everything. I do want to know, we showed, we get on the left side of the controller, was the, well, let me just look here. What was on the left side? There was the minus button and then the plus was on the right, or do I have that switch?
Yeah, so there's a plus and a minus, and then there's a home button and
then the mystery
and an
button.
unnamed, unsymbolized bland button in the trailer. Yeah.
And I've heard it's like a share button.
It's a share button.
Yeah, they talk. It's like a sync button, or the share is what it's all been. Like that's what the reports that we saw.
The biggest question is, what does it share to? Does it share just to Miiverse? Does it share to all social media? Can you go straight to YouTube or Twitch? Like nobody knows what it shares to yet, but it's by more or less been confirmed by devs that it's a share button.
Yep.
Miiverse. Yep. It'll go straight to the Miiverse.
Yep.
If
so
I mean, to Miiverse, I'd be okay with
I'm interested to see what we get with the controllers. I mean, will we get the? I think it's pretty safe to assume that the Pro controller will be separate, maybe on some sort of bundle. Will we get the Joy-Cons little grip? Will that be included, or will that be separate? Those are the things you have to wonder. But maybe we'll have multiple options with multiple pricing SKUs. Who knows? But I like what they showed. I like how you kind of got your preference of how you want to play, and yeah.
Excellent. So I personally, I think the grip one is going to be the one that's thrown in with the console, because I feel like they have to give you something.
Yeah.
But I can almost guarantee.
The spacer, though, right?
No, the spacer is the grip accessory. That's what it's called.
I thought I saw them holding.
That's the ugly one.
The grip. Like I saw this. I thought I saw.
You can hold them with like a nunchuck, and you can hold them with like nunchuck and Wii remote.
Right. No, I saw that. I saw that. I also thought I saw them hold it. The both Joy-Con controllers and the spacer without the handle grips in the palm.
I don't know.
I thought I saw that because I thought I remember it looked real slim. I could be way off base.
I don't recall seeing this. Maybe not. But if they do throw one in, I say the grip's thrown in. Pro controller is definitely going to be a separate purchase. So speaking of the Pro controller, so we already touched on how it's very reminiscent of a hybrid of the Nintendo Pro controller from the Wii U and the Xbox controller, if you will. So let's go to our Xbox specialist here. Nathan, what do you think about the comparison there of that nicer looking Pro controller to an Xbox One? And does that tickle your fancy a little bit?
As I sit here looking at an Xbox One controller, it is my favorite kind of design controller because I guess it's the asymmetrical design. I prefer the joystick, lower on the right and higher on the left. And so with this controller being reminiscent of that, the current Pro controller, correct me if I'm wrong, is also the same, right? It's the same kind of design for the Wii U controller?
No, the sticks are symmetrical and they're above the buttons.
Ah, so they've learned their lesson. So I like it a lot better. Let's just put that out there than the PlayStation 4 controller. I can already tell you that this new Wii U, this Switch, controller, the Pro, is going to be probably my second favorite controller of the console generation. And I'm looking forward to actually being able to play a game just like that. This is going to be there's no waggle, it seems, right, in this Pro controller. And they were showing him playing Skyrim and playing Zelda with a Pro controller, I think, as well as taking it and going on the go. So that means to me, as a gamer, that waggle is gone. And I cannot be happier about that.
Waggle is gone. I don't think there's anything else to say about that. I think that just perfectly sums it up. It's the one thing that's also interesting too. So we touched on it briefly, was the fact that there is confirmed touchscreen capability, even though they didn't show it in the trailer, which that's fine. I can take it or leave it. I do use it sometimes on the 3DS, but I'm not heartbroken if a game I'm playing doesn't use it at all, other than tapping menu buttons. So I'm fine if they got rid of it, to be honest. Motion controls. So Jason brought up an excellent point with Splatoon, and we saw how gung-ho Nintendo was on motion controls for Star Fox Zero, and all that kind of stuff there. I would be perfectly okay if Nintendo went away from motion controls, to be honest. I don't know that they are, and I would actually be hard-pressed to think that they would be. But, the little devil on my left shoulder is kind of like, they did it, they got rid of it. So I would be happy if it wasn't there, personally. But I know a lot of people would be disappointed, especially in the Splatoon division and whatnot.
Execute Order 66.
I think
on motion controls.
I think in limited situations it can be an added benefit. I don't think motion controls are necessarily bad, and at some point the Switch has got to have them because they're supporting Just Dance, and I don't know if there's a Just Dance game that doesn't, have a motion control scheme.
Oh, that's true.
So it's got to have it somewhere. I imagine the Joy-Cons, when they're separated, have some sort of basic motion control you can kind of hold in your hand. But, if you're playing on a tablet, as we've seen on 3DS, if you can kind of use the gyro to aim, or if you're playing Zelda and you can aim your boomerang or something like that, sometimes that aids people from having to line up sticks and be very tedious with it. And I think having the option is good. Now, when you dive into it and build an entire game around it, like Star Fox, that's when it goes off the cliff. But when you use it to just give you that extra aid, that extra little bit of English, that extra precision, I think it's a good thing.
As long as they don't make it mandatory, though, because I personally don't like it. But I know tons of people do, but I still want to be able to control it with the old thumbs.
Hey, you
I'm
know what the
school.
difference between ordinary and extraordinary is? It's that little extra.
That little extra.
A little something extra. That's well said. So we'll move on to the next topic then. And once again, no surprise, kind of as we'd heard, everyone was mentioning cartridges. No discs. Nintendo did show us that it is cartridges, but not like the old school NES, let's get this working. It's basically looks like 3DS cartridges, which is perfectly fine with me. I have no problem. It lends itself better to mobile gaming, in my opinion. You could take a bunch of those on the go and have pretty much your whole game library in something the size of your wallet. So win-win there. Not really much to say other than that. Pops into the side of the tablet itself. But yeah, it's all good with me. I don't know if we need to really go into it anymore. Anybody else have anything to say on the cartridges?
I've listened to several expert analysis give their take on it. Apparently, flash memory's gotten really cheap. So this is a really good cheap form factor for them to do, and it offloads a lot of internal storage needs. So if you're thinking about a really big game, so if Zelda's 40 gigs, and it can just fit onto a 40 gig flash cart, then you now don't need a 1 terabyte hard drive on this little tablet. If you can just carry the cart, you can just load directly from the cart. And as everybody knows, the load times are faster from carts. They always have been. So
yeah. So with it being cart, that's actually really cool because we talked about it a little bit ago with the battery usage. It's going to be better to read it from a battery than some sort of spinning media.
Oh, it's true. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And well, if you look at the use of a cart as opposed to that, basically, when you look at a memory card, it's basic flash storage, as you said. And so when you take that into account, you don't have any load times. Does the 3DS have load times?
Minimal.
They do in certain games, but they're not more than 10
Yeah.
seconds at the most.
It's not like
I think.
a Wii U game where you like
No,
load
no.
the menu and everything. Like no. It's minimal. Once you get into the game, I don't think you encounter any.
Yeah, so I mean, that in itself is actually a pretty exciting concept, because even if you install a game like on your PS4 or your Xbox One, you still have those load times.
Yeah.
Those shouldn't really be existent, or if they are, they should be very minimal, way less than the other consoles.
Agreed. So overall exciting. So actually, we can dive into this a little bit too, because I was thinking, and I know we have a question on it too, so we might as well just address it now. The cost. Everyone's kind of like, okay, well, how much are these games then going to cost, considering that the cartridge base and flash memory is much cheaper now? Me personally, I don't see them changing. I think they'll stay in the $50, $60 range for the most part. That's me. What do you think, Jason?
I don't see that changing either. I just have a feeling it's kind of the industry standard, so to speak. So I don't really see a deviation for that. Maybe, I mean, would I welcome it? Sure, but I don't think it's going to happen. And then, just to jump onto the cartridge thing too, I'm interested. I'm glad that's kind of the route they got, because, I do like digital, but again, it's not like you're going to be able to crack this thing open and put in, expand this. What's the storage going to be like on this device? It's not going. I don't think it's going to be something where we can easily expand your. I can't just put a different hard drive onto this. So, carts would be easily swappable and small enough to carry around. So,
yeah, I'm all for it. Donnie, what do you think on the pricing situation? Is it going to go up, down, stay the same?
So I want to jump on Jason's last comment. So the dev kits are rumored to have 32 gig on board, and that's been a long rumor. Now, there's also the chance, because it's a tablet, and I think it's a pretty good chance, knowing Nintendo and their ability to let you kind of build your own storage, you're probably going to be able to drop an SD card in there, based on the 3DS and the Wii U support for external hard cards. And and you can buy 512 gigabyte SD cards, and they're really not all that expensive. And you can buy, 128 gigabyte SD card for like $30 these days. So you should be able to offload any like downloadable memory onto your own cards. Fairly simple. And if they make it easy to swap them out, they'll have DRM in there to protect hackers and stuff like that. But if they make them fairly easy to, swap them out like a Vita, if it's just pop it in, pop it on the side and it reads it and you're good to go. I don't think that should be such a big deal. You may be an extra cost, of course, and people may not want to hear that, but if it makes the console cheaper, then I understand. I mean, you can't pack a 2 terabyte hard drive on a tablet. I mean, the hard drive is big as the tablet. So, price-wise, I got a couple things here. So, there's some nice tech in this tablet. So don't don't be misled. Tablets can't do what the Switch can do. There are no gaming tablets out there that are running like console games. The closest we've got is the NVIDIA Shield, and by all accounts, because NVIDIA posted their stuff, this is an improved chipset on that concept. So this is a very strong tablet capable of doing quite a bit as a portable. Probably the strongest portable gaming system we've seen to date. Mm-hmm. So in terms of that tech, if you were to buy everything that was shown, I do expect that price range to be like $350. However, I also think there's an opportunity for Nintendo, if they choose, to cut the price by splitting the SKUs. There's no need, from everything that I've read and seen and listened to, there's absolutely no mandate that you have to have the dock. It does seem to be an accessory if you want to play on the TV. So I could see them going, hey, we've got this tablet and these 2 Joy-Cons for $250. If you want the dock and the Pro Controller, it's an extra $100, or you can buy the bundle of all of them, maybe it comes with a game, for $350 or $399. I could see them, I could see that happening, because there's going to be a lot of people out there. There are a lot of people out there don't want to play on the TV. They don't have a big TV. Maybe like a college student or something, got a little TV. They just want a portable. They just want the tablet. I could see a lot of people just like, what's the lowest investment I could get?
So I'm going to jump in real quick and play devil's advocate on that point only. The name of the console is Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Will Nintendo voluntarily let you do something against what their vision is. They're typically not known for that. So that would be like saying, you know, I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but it's like, okay, it's in the title, Switch. You should be able to switch it from your TV to your portable. If they're giving the option to just make it a portable, to me, it seems a little odd. Now, I'm all for a cheaper price SKU, but in my mind, that docking is a must-have. Like, that's, in my mind, I'm not getting the whole console without that. That might just be me, but I don't know.
I think you're right, and I'm going to buy all of it, but I mean, I do think that I think you're right to assume that. I definitely don't think that path is incorrect. However, I don't think Nintendo would stop anybody from buying the tablet just to make sure they get the dock. I don't see them stepping in the way of that sell, you know, based on where they currently are in the market. Even though one thing we should address is that, you know, they were very adamant that this is a home console system. Right. Kyle brought that up in our chat, and he brought it up, and that meme, that picture has been making its way around the internet, and it's on their homepage and everything. My immediate reaction to that, and I believe is IGN's exact reaction as well, that's because they have this thing called a 3DS, and it's still selling really well. So just like they used to have the third pillar, they're not going to just write off the 3DS right out of the gate because this thing is coming in March. They don't want people to go, all right, time to sell your 3DS because we got this other thing coming. So I definitely think that they want to market it towards that home, and they want you to get the dock, and at that point, they may require that you buy all of it, but I think they would be sacrificing sales to do so. I also believe, and this is where I wanted to kind of hit you guys with price, I also believe their push into this is a home console is to be able to justify kind of subconsciously the price of their games. I don't know if anybody's really thought about this. 3DS games are not $60. 3DS games are $39.99, and a lot of them are $29.99. But if you're putting this, if you say, hey, this portable game on this portable machine can also be played on your TV because of this docking station, all of a sudden Nintendo can tell you, hey, this is a full game. You play it on your TV like any other console. It's a $60 game. So I kind of feel like maybe that message, even if it's just for marketing, I kind of feel like them saying home console is for them to be able to justify all Nintendo Switch games are $60 retail.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So you can sell the console at a lower price point and make more on your games.
Yes. Wow. But that's just my thoughts.
Plus, think about it, too. The games are going to be better than an average 3DS game. We already know that. Like these are going to be more enhanced than a 3DS game.
But could the next Pokemon game that comes to the Switch, could it be a natural evolution of Pokemon Sun Moon, but not a 3D open world Super Mario, Pokemon game? Could it still be a top-down RPG? That's where you kind of get into that thing where if they're going to blend that handheld console market, you're going to get into a game that you'll be like, I don't know if that's a $60 game. Like, of course I can play it on my TV, but does it look like a console game or does it look more like a mobile game? I feel like them by them just saying this is our home console, I feel like they get to justify, and this is our home console price for games. And we know how Nintendo holds that market value, at retail. I don't know. This is an initial take, and I thought maybe a different way of looking at it.
No, that's true. I didn't think of it. I would have no problem if the Pokemon game, for instance, did look like the 3DS game on the home console. But yeah, if I paid $60 for that, I would be like, okay, that just doesn't make any sense to me now. So you did mention, too, the pricing on the console, so I wasn't going that rate. But since we're already talking about it, I might as well do it, too. I mean, before we had said numerous times that, like, $250, I think, was kind of where my head was going to be at for this console. But after seeing it, I can't see it being that cheap. I'm thinking at least $350, if not $400, to be honest. Now, am I happy about that? No, I'd rather pay less, obviously. But, I don't know. It looks too sophisticated to be too cheap in my mind. But, I mean, man, after seeing it, I just want it. I don't care. I would probably pull the trigger at $400 if I had to. But realistically, like, logically thinking in my head, I'm way more comfortable in the $300 to $350 range. So before we move on, then Jason, what do you think about the pricing on the console then?
Let's see here. So let's say the dock is standard, comes with it. Now, the dock. What Nintendo said is the dock doesn't add anything. It simply is an easy way to connect to this television. It provides a power source. It looks like it had. Mm-hmm. at the pictures, looks like it had a USB, a couple USB outs on it as well.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
So, you're not getting anything extra there. I agree. I think 250 is too low. I just don't see that. But at the same time, too, I'm wondering, you can't go too much higher because you can get an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 for $250.
That's true.
So you don't want to, you don't want to make the mistake like they did with the 3DS and price yourself out of the market, and then all of a sudden have to, do these price cuts, slash your prices. So I think right around I think 300 and 350 is the realistic spot we're going to see. I don't. Am I priced out anyway? I don't think I'm going to be. There's any way that I'm priced out of this. I really want this device. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be a matter of when I get it. At that point, if the price is too high, I might not just. I might not just be able to get it at day one. I might have to wait, a little longer and be jealous and salty.
I can just see it now. Honey, good news. We got the Nintendo Switch. But where's the car? Yeah.
Well,
We don't need the car, but we can play Mario in the car if we had one.
I didn't sell the baby. I mean,
that's fair enough. And you can get a lot more for the baby, I imagine. But so, Nathan, you've been quiet for a while. So, what is your anticipations here on the pricing of the console and the pricing on the games? Figuring out they're now cartridge based as opposed to disc based.
If Nintendo wants to really make a splash, I think that they really need to come out and give you a whole package with the TV adapter and the base system. And I don't expect the Pro Controller to be in this, but $300. Come out there, hit $300. You'll have immense movement of the hardware at that point.
Yeah.
You'll probably have a lot of people that were on the fence just saying, what the heck, it's Nintendo, why not? Because at this point, you got a lot of people that have said, Nintendo's not for me. And they've gone on to Xbox, they've gone to PlayStation or PC. But if they see this come along, and it's the price of a graphics card, and they're like, you know what? Sitting alongside an Xbox One S that also does Blu-ray stuff and all this other stuff, or a PlayStation 4 that, has the VR capabilities if you buy the adapter. Like, this is not a bad deal. $299 is a good price point for them to hit, if they can hit it. So that's what I would want them to hit. Now, will they hit it? Doubtful. I think they're going to come out a little bit higher than that, maybe $350. I can't see it being much more than that, because then they just price themselves out of the market. Because you can get an iPad mini for $200, right? And honestly, that's their competition, is an iPad or an Android device. And if you price yourself higher than that, you're Nintendo, but at that point, family members that look at that and say, hey, Mom or Dad, I want this thing. And they're like, no, we're getting you a tablet. Then, it's one of those things where, it's the same kind of thing, but it's not exactly the same. And you got to make that sell to the parents or the people that are actually going to buy this thing. And did you notice in this commercial that there weren't any kids?
Yes.
And that there weren't any
parents
older
or
people,
old people or anything. They were all millennials.
Mm-hmm. So
hey,
I mean, they're marketing
you guys, but I'm taking my Switch to all my hipster rooftop parties. Okay? So just step off.
But I do want to say that I think that this is marketed towards us. It's marketed to that group that takes their phones everywhere. And if I did get an NX, I would take it with me on travels. I would put it in my bag, absolutely, because it'll be easy and portable to put in there. Mm-hmm. The one thing I don't want to have happen, though, is I remember having this when I had a Game Boy or a 3DS or a 2DS, or no, it was just called DS back in the day. Was you remember the little zip cases that you could put all the cartridges in, carry 50 cartridges around? I don't want that. As much as I know that the cartridge system is probably going to be better than trying to download everything and keep it all stored on there, I just don't want to carry around a little bag of games, because what if I lose it? There's all my games. That's a very
so I know
loss.
you've been away from it for a bit now. So for instance, Nathan, what I have with my 3DS is I have a case
with a
that's
GPS
hard plastic,
locator.
what was that?
With a GPS locator.
Yes. It's the same size as the game cases are, but inside it's just slots that hold games. So I can carry 24 games in the size of one regular 3DS box. So it has like the multiple inputs. So I can carry 24 games in me in this little thing that's no bigger than a CD. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've kind of made this halfway transition to digital, and I really like it
right.
that you can just download whatever, whenever, and not have to worry about losing the content.
I'll get
But
you
it's Nintendo, so you'll have to rebuy the content every console again and again and again. Like
They
us
need to
suckers,
fix
so.
that. Switch it up, Nintendo. Fix
I'll
that.
get you a Nintendo branded fanny pack to carry your games around in. Hogan
We got
style.
it, guys. So what do you think on the pricing of the games, though, Nathan? Do you anticipate them to remain at like the 60 level, or should they go down considering they're more cartridge based and flash memory?
Is it? What's the cost difference between making a cartridge and making a disc? The actual manufacturing cost. Anybody know?
No, I don't know, but IGN said earlier that Flash is cheaper than it's ever been, and that while it's more expensive, I believe they said, and I can be completely wrong, so if we're wrong, tweet at us at PSVG on Twitter, let me know. But I believe IGN said it's more expensive to manufacture, but cheaper to sell and distribute? Take that for whatever that means. But I do remember, I remember specifically, I believe it was on GameScoop, they said they're more expensive to manufacture, but not if you can manufacture them in bulk. He's like, but apparently I don't know if it's packaging or whatnot, but he made sense that they make up for it on the other end.
Okay. Well, let's say it costs the same to manufacture both a disc and a cartridge. I think that it really just depends on the content at that point. Was the development cost reflective of a AAA game? Let's say Skyrim. That's going to be $60. There's no way that doesn't come out for less than $60.
That's true.
However, you could have a smaller game like a WarioWare that could be $20. Because that won't have that developmental cost. And Mario, I think it'll probably be first party titles. Wouldn't surprise me if they're $50. Honestly,
Yeah, I don't see Nintendo lowering their first party prices at all. Not
I
their
mean,
IP. They protect their IP so much. Even WarioWare, $60 when it launches.
Well, the last iteration was, but Nathan's right. Prior to that, the previous iterations, especially like the downloadable only ones, they were substantially cheaper than the retail releases on those.
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting to see what they actually price them out as. Third-party games that are typically $60, they will be $60, guaranteed. However, I think that you will have smaller experiences, which like on the Xbox store, we have a smaller game that comes out that could be $5. I don't think there's going to be any proper Nintendo games that are $5, but let's say, what's it called? NES Remix? Let's say they do like a Super NES Remix, and that comes out. I would think $30 for that, right? Would be within the realm of possibility. But a new Star Fox game, that'll probably come out at full price. Or a new Metroid game, like a Metroid Prime type game, that'll probably be full price because that'll have a bigger development budget. So the thing I'm trying to say is the game price will reflect the development cost.
Fair enough. All right, so let's move on to talk a little bit about that software we're anticipating coming out. So in the trailer/commercial, whatever you want to call it, we saw 6 specific games shown. So we already knew Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was going to be there, so that dominated the first portion of that. But we also saw what appears to be a new version of Mario Kart, or at least stuff added to Mario Kart 8 perhaps. A new Super Mario 3D type game, proper one, which we haven't seen that in a while. Another iteration of Splatoon, Skyrim, as we mentioned a few times, and then an unspecified NBA game. Looks to be like NBA 2K style thing, but obviously I think they'd have to. Did they do? Okay,
they did.
So obviously I think hardware wise it just has to be a little bit different. It can't be as in depth as the regular one, but either way it's still a big thing. So 48 different software companies have pledged support now to the Nintendo Switch, if you will. These game development companies include like EA is back, Bethesda's on board, Capcom, Activision, Ubisoft, of course, as they've been toting
Ubisoft.
Ubisoft. I apologize. They've been tooting the Nintendo horn for quite some time now, so that was no surprise there. But there were some middleware and game engine companies like Unity and Havok also showing developmental pledges there too. So it certainly seems like Nintendo circled the wagons, if you will, and brought back some people who either had stopped developing on Nintendo consoles or had never developed on Nintendo consoles in years and years and years. So interesting to see. Out of everything they showed, I think I'm probably on board to purchase everything except for 2K, depending on what they do. And it's got to be a little bit different. I don't see me buying another Splatoon unless there's some changes. Same with Mario Kart.
Do you see them doing like a Wii U virtual console?
No.
No, I don't think so, because I think they're going to remaster / enhance
There you go.
all the big ones on Wii U to it and just kind of port them over with some little extras.
Just gonna reset.
But I mean, and that's the Nintendo MO, really. But with the immense, favor that Xbox has garnered with their backwards compatibility, I think that Nintendo, I mean, you'll probably have to buy it again, but if they do a virtual console for the Wii U titles, let's say they do Smash or Mario Kart from the Wii U title, and they just make it run on the Switch hardware, I think that'd be a great get for getting those fans over quicker.
Absolutely. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think because if they simply, like for instance, the Mario Kart, that appeared to be Mario Kart 8. It looked like a track from Mario Kart 8, but it had King Boo as a character, which was not a character.
Dual items.
I think that too. I think what they do is plan on doing is just adding a little bit of an enhancement to the game that was already developed for the Wii U. They don't really need to upscale the graphics or anything because it's Nintendo. They're already cartoony. Just give a little bit extra features and they could sell the game right there. If having shown a lot of these titles, and we've already heard Smash Bros. Be coming over. Now we've got confirmation of Splatoon, Mario Kart. It looks like all the bigger first-party titles will be enhanced and re-released anyway. I feel like if they were to do a Wii U virtual console, knowing that these more enhanced versions are coming out, Nintendo, number one, isn't going to slash prices and say, well, you can get the Wii U version of Smash Bros. For $30, or you can buy the Switch version for $60. They're not going to do that. They're going to try and charge you a pretty penny for it. I just see people holding off saying, well, I'll just get the enhanced version.
But what about, so again, this is comparing a Japanese company to an American company and the different thought process, but Microsoft did do the re-release of the Gears of War game, and then they gave you Gears of War before that for free even, but they remastered their own game and sold it on the Xbox One, but they also gave you as a backwards compatible the original, or allowed it to be backwards compatible before the game was actually the remaster was able to be purchased.
I want to jump in here real fast. So, not to just completely discredit your theory, but I just don't see backwards compatibility being a feature with the Nintendo Switch for a couple reasons. One, the Nintendo Switch doesn't support any dual screen gaming, and most every 3DS game would be immediately emitted, and then every Wii U game would be immediately emitted. When you dock the tablet, it has a cover over it, and the tablet turns off. You can't play your tablet in your lap and on the TV at the same time. So a lot of these games aren't going to come over with any of those supported features. Also, the Wii U is on AMD architecture, and this is an NVIDIA-powered game system, which means that even if they can take some source code of the game themselves, assets, and lift them, they still have to reprogram the game. And it is more or less rebuilt, even if it is shorter. So I don't know if that completely, trumps that. I think based on those factors, I just don't see backwards compatibility being a thing. I think they'll take the hits that they want, they'll reprogram, they'll get Switch versions of them working, and then they'll, if you want to buy them, you can. There's no inkling in me that thinks that Nintendo is trying to appease the 12 million Wii U owners to buy a Switch. I think the 12 million people that bought a Wii U are going to buy a Switch. Nintendo's trying to get the people that didn't buy a Wii U to buy a Switch.
So
That's true, you're right. It would be a lot of manipulation to make it work if they were to do it. So at that point, you might as well just make the tweaks and re-release it at retail as opposed to a virtual title.
So do you think that they would do, because it seems to be that they always kind of improve their eShop kind of content before. Do you think they would be ready to do a GameCube emulation type hardware on it, or software on
that
this?
I think is possible.
I
I think
GameCube emulation for Virtual Console is definitely on the radar, because they're always about it. They're always about a generation behind in terms of Virtual Console. So like they never do last gen except for Wii U that just got some Wii games, but generally Wii got SNES up to 64, and then Wii U, so the GameCube seems to be the next one up, and I think that'll be a big get. As I've said before on the podcast, I know this doesn't really relate
Eternal Darkness.
Yeah, I know it doesn't necessarily relate to this question, but I do think with the implementation of My Nintendo, I do think your account system is coming. I do also think that you will have to start with the Switch and move forward. I don't think you're going to be able to import any eShop purchases or anything from Wii U. Maybe, but I don't see it.
That would be epic if they did. I would honestly be so happy if they allowed it to happen that way. I think it would be a great get. But yeah, so what does everybody think about the third party lineup coming back, if you will? I mean, for me, seeing Bethesda, that made me very happy being a Bethesda fan, and I'm wondering, will they support Fallout 4 mods? Will I then have to transfer then and get it that way? But not going to repurchase. But it's going to be interesting, I think, to see some of these parties come back to the table, if you will.
Sure. I think NBA 2K is a must get, and I think it's great that they were there at launch and for reveal, because sports games matter. Even though people look at them as iterative and they come out every year, they sell gangbusters. Mm-hmm. This is how you attract droves of people to adopt your console. We have a very avid 2K fan, Seth, and his first thing was, if I can play 2K17 on the go, he's like, you have my attention. And that's, they are appealing to somebody they may not appeal to before. And I always look back, when you think about the very successful, as much as, not compared to every console, but these more successful Nintendo platforms, they had sports games. The Wii had Madden and Tiger Woods and NBA. The N64 had WCW and Blitz and Madden. I mean, these things, GameCube, NCAA had everything. The Wii U didn't have any of those. They got NBA and it was awful. And they got Madden, and it was awful. So, it'll be imperative for them to not only have them, but also show that they're not second-rate experiences, that they are good experiences. So I think having that was great. Having Bethesda there, makes, at least shows that they're trying to attract Western developers. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the reaction or the response from 2K and Bethesda. It was brought up in our chat by Kyle. They didn't confirm that the game was coming. They said, we cannot confirm or deny the games that are coming, but we're happy to support, and we're happy that we've partnered with Nintendo. Now, some blogs have ran with that these games may not come, and other blogs have ran, with different stories. They were on the graphic, they were in the reveal. I believe there's every hope out there imaginable that you're going to see Skyrim on the Switch. What I believe is you're seeing a lot of marketing talk. They're not ready to reveal it, probably because they don't have a release date, or they don't know how long it's going to be, or maybe they just entered development on it. I just think you're seeing a lot of marketing speak. Maybe they want to, this trailer was only 3 minutes. We've been talking for 1 hour and 25 minutes about a 3-minute trailer. They're obviously going to have a reveal where everybody gets on stage and shows games. I mean, they could just be simply waiting for that date so they can control the message themselves. But, you know what? It is not out of the realm of possibility that Nintendo showed us games that don't come. But I don't think that's the case.
When's the next big game show?
Well, PSX. I don't think there's one before PSX.
The next one Nintendo would be E3.
They'll do a direct. They'll do a direct.
Yeah, they're going to do a direct.
I would expect them for Thanksgiving, but I've heard December. But they'll do a direct. They always do a big direct in November. They have a history of doing it like 4 years in a row. So I would expect a direct before Thanksgiving in November where they flesh out a lot of this. And it's also worth mentioning, they have an investors meeting next week. We're going to get more NX details next week, or Switch details. So
maybe they're going to start their own convention, the NX, Nintendo Expo.
Ooh, that's a good, I like that play on words. Based on third-party support, though, because I do think it relates to this, there is an incredibly good article over at digitaltrends.com that we have retweeted on our account, and it goes through what the architecture of the rumored, because there's been a lot of leaks by devs and stuff, the rumored specs of the Nintendo Switch has. And I don't want to bore people too much, but more or less they said, put simply, the Nintendo Switch will be in the league as the base Xbox One and a big step over from the Wii U. It's unlikely to catch up to PlayStation 4, and it's going to be a far cry from the Pro and the Scorpio. So if you're trying to get an idea of where this is going to rate on the scale, it's almost what you would consider current gen. And considering that this is a portable, you're going to be able to pick up and play on the go.
Amazing.
That's the point that I feel like people will keep glossing over that in the power. They're like, it's not as strong as your PS4. And it's like, well, you can't pick up your PS4 and take it with you. Like, that is a huge difference. An iPad can't play PS4 games. So, like, it's just...
You can't poop life PS4.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's different. So, I just think it's worth mentioning. So, if a developer, if it's in the ballpark, right? So, like, this is the only thing that really matters to third parties. If it's in the ballpark, then they can downport. And, you know, so if Nintendo can make a market to give them profit, and it's in the ballpark, they don't have to do anything crazy and support some second screen or something, then they can make money there. The article also mentions that because they're going with this NVIDIA Tegra, that there are already tools in place for easy porting of games. And we've been hearing from developers that have dev kits that have spoken, and this is actually one on record, that it is easier to develop for than Wii U, that they expect to be able to develop easier. So I wanted to get that in. I think that relates a lot to third parties.
I agree. So let's go with Nathan then. How do you feel about the third-party lineup and the few games we did see already?
I didn't see LucasArts, so that makes me sad. But I did see EA, and that makes me happy because they do all the Star Wars stuff right now. As far as the third-party lineup goes, it looks like they're solid. So it's kind of nice to be able to have a third-party lineup that you were missing for an entire generation, pretty much. Because as PlayStation can attest, you may not want to or may not need your own first-party games if you have third parties to satiate the people's desire. So it's awesome to have them back playing with EA and with everybody again. I'm still wondering, are we going to see a lot of... Because Nintendo is probably still pretty protective of the type of games that go on there. So are we going to see games like Call of Duty on the Switch, do you think? Or do you think that they're going to stick more towards, the teen-rated type games and kind of keep mature-rated type games out of the equation?
Call of Duty's on
Well,
DS.
Skyrim is...
Call of Duty's on Wii U.
Skyrim's mature.
Yeah, like...
Oh, sorry.
if they want to put Call of Duty on a Nintendo platform, Nintendo's all about Call of Duty. Ghost and Black Ops 2 were both on Wii U, and Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare came out for DS. So I don't think they have anything opposed to there. Now, if you were to ask me, and we had one question, I'll go ahead and burn it, Kevin. We had one question: do you think we'll see Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Switch? I don't think so, because I believe Rockstar, they're going to eke every bit of power they can get out of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
Right.
And I question how they'll be able to downport. And to my knowledge, the only Grand Theft Auto game that's ever graced a Nintendo platform was the DS version. Was it Chinatown?
Chinatown Wars.
Yeah,
yep.
So I don't think that Rockstar relationship is there, but it would be a huge get if they make that announcement. I mean, that would be one to look forward to for sure, but I don't think that one will come, and maybe not, the next Grand Theft Auto game. But if this thing sells well, I definitely expect the sports games, the Call of Duties, the Battlefields, if they can make money, I would expect to see them.
And actually the original Grand Theft Auto was available. I want to say it was on the original Game Boy, and possibly the Game Boy Advance as well. But yeah, for the most part, the power obviously is a concern there too. And the other thing that came to my mind when I saw the question on Red Dead 2 was, as we said earlier, Rockstar develops these games for years and years and years. So even if they got a dev kit right away, they'd only be a year in development. There would be no way we would get Red Dead anytime soon. Forget a year out. You'd be looking at 2 or 3 years out on the Nintendo Switch. So at that point, it doesn't even matter. Second, once again, we saw Skyrim, as I was trying to talk over Donnie 3 times. Sorry about that. Skyrim's rated mature. So I think we're already going to see some of those titles. Now, I will say I think Nintendo may still shy away from anything that might be like, let's say, sexually explicit.
I was actually just about to say that. Hang on a second. I was mistaken. Yeah. Bully and Manhunt were also on Wii. So there is a Rockstar relationship with Nintendo.
Were they really?
They were on Wii, yeah. Bully, the original edition, just the Xbox and PlayStation versions was on there. And so was Manhunt. I believe it was Manhunt 2, which I believe is very mature.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
So
it was, yeah. So that's interesting.
I think as long as there's an avenue there for them to make money, I think it'll be there.
Yeah, I agree. Jason, what about you?
If I look at the list here of third parties and everything, without looking at, like, I recognize names, but for the most part, not a lot of the games associated with it comes up. But if I looked it up, like, oh yeah, I recognize this, I recognize that, but it's good to see it. I mean, Wii U had third-party support at launch as well, and then the wheels fell off. So hopefully, what we've heard though, I think that's not going to be the case now. I think we're going to have things that are much more easier to support, easier to port to. Like, you got Unity support that opens up a huge window, especially for indies, because so many small studios are building games within Unity. I think it's great. Jumping onto the games that we saw in the reveal. I don't know how I'm going to feel too much about the Wii U ports / remasters and whatnot. I guess it depends on, am I going to be paying full price of this? If they're, what is added in. Then again, though, it's not like, is there going to still be any activity going on Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U? Probably not. So if I want to keep playing Mario Kart, I'm going to be buying it again. If I want to play Smash Brothers still, I'm going to have to buy it again. Things like that. So I haven't been into sports games except hockey, so I'd love to play hockey again. I don't have a console right now, so I can't play hockey anymore. So I'd love to have sporting games still get love and support. And I agree with Donnie. I think that I think people are reading in way too much about this early legal speak about what's been confirmed and what cannot be confirmed. I think we're trying to draw too many lines where we don't need to just yet. I want to believe though that everything we've seen in there is actual gameplay, and it's not rendered fanciness for a reveal. But I mean, of all those games shown, there's only the one I really care about right now, and that's Breath of the Wild, because that looks phenomenal.
Oh, it does.
I can't.
So good.
What about Mario?
I like the direction. I'm glad you brought that up, because I like that we're going. If you look at 3D World, it's very much built for the multiplayer experience, which is great. How that game is designed and functions, especially as Nintendo often does, for families playing together. But I like we're going back to more of the traditional 3D experience that we saw in Sunshine, in Super Mario 64, and to an extent Galaxies. More of that classic 3D Mario. So I'm interested to get back into that. And that game looked great. And on a power level, I don't think Nintendo needs to ever hit PS4 levels, because they so much more than any, at least if we're talking first party, it's so much more than any other company. They're very stylistic with their approach, with design and everything, and I think they don't need as much power to present their games. Because if you look at stuff on the Wii U, like especially we've talked, Mario Kart will always be a staple of how awesome that game looks, and you don't need all the horsepower in order to make a game like that look good. So I think where the Switch is going to line up is going to be just great. And I don't know what else to say.
And there you go. There's the period at the end of that conversation. So lastly, the thing of note, the trailer does not give any sort of pricing scenario, so we kind of discussed what our anticipations were, and then it only said it was coming out in March 2017. No hard date as of yet, of course, but that stuff will be to come. So before we move on to the messages, some of you did send in questions for us around this launch trailer. Really quick, just a yes or no, and we'll start with the most obvious one. Donnie, will you be buying a Nintendo Switch? Yes or no?
I absolutely will. I do want to pose one more question to the group.
Sure.
I ran a poll on Twitter earlier. We had 46 votes. I asked, do you plan on trading in your Wii U for a Nintendo Switch? And the winner was yes. 40% said yes, 30% said no, and 29% said they're still waiting for more information. I want to pose this to the group, if for nothing else. I came home today, long day at the office, came home about 7 o'clock, show my kids the trailer. Look at them. They have these huge grins on their faces. They think that everybody's getting their own Switch day one. I'm like, right, we're talking about getting one Switch for the family. And my daughter's like, I'm going to take it to school. I'm like, that's never going to happen. You're absolutely not.
Yeah.
But
Daddy's taking it to work.
But I look at them and I go, hey, is this something you guys think you want? And they're like, oh my God, please, yes, 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 yes. And just like we did for the Wii U, I said, we have to trade something in. Like, is this something you want to trade something in before? And they kind of looked at me, and I kid you not, my just turned 6-year-old son said, we should trade the Wii U in. And it shocked me because he loves the Wii U. He plays Mario Maker, he plays Pokken Tournament, and I look at him, I go, you want to trade the Wii U in? Because I didn't expect that. He goes, yeah, all the good games are coming to the Switch anyway. That's what he said. He said all the good Wii U games are coming to the Switch anyway. He saw a 3D Mario, he saw Splatoon, and he saw Mario Kart, and he's like, yeah, we just move over. And as you guys know me, it got me to thinking. I love my Zelda games, but based on this 3-minute trailer, I could actually draw the logical conclusion that I think those Zelda remasters, Jason, are probably going to come to the Switch, man. I don't think they're going to die forever on the Wii U for the 12 million people that bought it. I'm sitting on a Wii U console and like 25 games, probably $300-$400 worth of trading credit here, and it's very tempting. If my kids were on board, I feel like I have no reason not to now. I'm like, oh man, that was like my one hope. It was like, well, the kids would never let me do that, and they're like, no, go ahead, do it. It's like we're not going to play that anyway. And I'm full of games. Like, I'm not looking forward to anything really. I mean, I could skip Color Splash. It's not going to eat me up. I'm playing tons of Xbox games, 3DS games that are coming. I'm still on board with, and it really got me to thinking. So I wanted to ask you guys: are any of you thinking about trading in? Are you going to keep your hardware forever? Because I'm not looking at just purely from a financial point, but if I'm going to get the Switch, I'm looking at like how often am I actually going to play the Wii U? Because I don't really play it as much anymore now. I feel like I've done maybe everything I wanted to do there. And then also, if I get the Switch and they do drop Wind Waker HD for the Switch, I feel like I'm going to want to play it on the Switch if for no other reason just to have played it on the Switch. And like even if they drop, even if it's the exact same game, I'm like, would you actually just play the Wii U version if you wanted to, or would you buy the Switch version anyway? And just knowing me, I'd probably just want to play the new thing. So, yeah, that's my question. I wanted to get that question in.
Jason, why don't you go first on that?
I guess it depends. I'd have to see what it comes down to for trade-in value. I don't think I'm really gonna miss any of the games because, like, my favorites are, the Zeldas, which good chance we still would get to play. And, well, let's face it, the Zeldas aren't even specific to Wii U. They're all either remasters or virtual console, so that's not a real loss. Smash Brothers is likely coming to the Switch. Mario Kart is coming to the Switch, so nothing out really there. The only reason I like the Wii U for what it is, the purchases are there, but it's very friendly for my wife to be able to use to stream Netflix or and it's the only device I have that we can stream Amazon Prime onto right now. While, I have a Chromecast, but, for me, it's like, oh, no problem. Just put my phone, flip, blah, 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 blah. It's on the screen, but oftentimes our Wi-Fi cuts out, and you have to, it's a pain in the butt to have to unplug and replug in our power line adapter. So it's just much easier for my wife to go, oh, I want to watch Netflix. I turn this on, and it's right there on the screen. Push the button. Netflix is on TV. She's happy. I'm happy. We're happy. So that would be the one thing, is maybe as a media device, but then how long is that even going to be functional? When are they going to kill the plugs on, those online services?
I didn't even think about that. You're right.
So that proves a good point. And she would be much, well, if you're not going to use it, let's get rid of it, So, and it gives me more money towards the actual purchase. So I would say at this point I would largely be in, I'm not a yes, but I'm not a no. I guess I'm in the more information camp. But I could easily, I think, at first when it came up, I'd be like, oh no, I never, no way I'd do that. But now I'm like, maybe I would. Like, I wish I have a ton of downloaded software on my 360, but it just sits like it's in the far corner of my basement. It just sits there right now, collecting dust. I have games that I always say I'm going to finish. I'm never going to play them again, probably. And it's the fact that I would get $20 for that 360 is the fact that it still just sits there. You know?
If you wait too long on that Wii U, you're only getting $20 for it too.
Exactly.
See, I'm kind of in the same boat as Jason. My vote is I'm not trading it in unless I have to in order to get a Switch, if that makes sense. Only because, I mean, I'm still holding on to some Wii games, believe it or not, simply because I know they're not going to be re-released. They're not going to be ported over, or I'll have to buy them again if they do. So it's like, I don't see myself doing it. I have, Pikmin 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2 are on the Wii, and then 3 is on the Wii U. I don't see them bringing those over. They'll just move on to the next one. And I go through phases with Nintendo when I get nostalgic and go, I remember that game. I want to go back and play it. And I mean, heck, I hooked up my Wii not that long ago. I still have my Wii, and only because I have something like 20-something downloaded games on there, just so I can play Bubble Bobble from the NESD. So I go through these phases where I get a little nostalgic and I want to play something, and unless there's a need for me to trade in, I don't see myself doing it, just because, I'm one of the 12 million that actually bought a Wii U, and I have substantial amount of the first party games, if not all the first party games, and not all of them are going to be brought over because they're not as universally adored as Splatoon or Mario Kart. So right. I'm a no unless I have to be honest. That's me. Nathan?
Yeah, it just depends on the value that you would get for trade or selling it, because when I look at my Wii U collection, I mean, the only games that I really play on it are Super Smash Brothers, and I never hardly play that, and Mario Kart, and those are the games that I have like the DLC bought for. And that was a fair amount of DLC spent on there, I think, because I got all the characters and all the DLC for Mario Kart, and for what's the other game called, Smash Brothers. And I don't know, it would just have to be worth it to me, and I don't know what that number would be. I mean, I think I'd probably be more apt to sell it to somebody that I know would use it, and would probably be able to get more that way anyway. So I might sell it, but I probably wouldn't trade it in, because like your kids pointed out, all the good stuff's going to be on the Switch. And I really hope that they figure out some sort of Nintendo ID and they make it stick, like kind of like a gamer tag or something like that, and have like achievements or something, because I know that they're stupid, but I like having achievements and things popping up, and it kind of just gives you a reason to go and play a game. Because part of my reason for not wanting to play Nintendo all the time is because there's not really anything you're working towards. Yeah, I mean, it's fine, you can play the games, but and Smash Bros. Had its own kind of achievement list that you could play with, but a universal achievement list, give me that. And if they do that, I would probably get rid of my Wii U and never look back. Because I can't remember ever wanting a GameCube after I traded that in, except for Melee, and then the new Smash Brothers kind of satiated that desire. But then again, that new Smash Brothers is pretty much perfect, and I don't know if I want to get rid of my ability to play that just yet. I don't know. It's hard to say. It would have to be worth it for me to want to get rid of it, because I know Smash Brothers will be coming, like you said, to the Switch soon. And if it is Smash Brothers with all the DLC and it lets me use my my Melee controllers, whatever it was called, the GameCube.
Yeah, the Wavebird.
Yeah, if it lets me do that, then heck, I'm getting rid of it. There's no reason for me to keep it around, because at that point, it does everything that I want the current one to do anyway.
I'll make you want to stop playing Smash Brothers.
What's that?
Them there fighting words.
We haven't played in a long time. We should play.
I know we haven't. We should all link up and play. So I know I'm all in. I'm getting one. Jason, you said you're getting one, just a matter of when. Nathan, then, are you, as of right now, obviously we know there's tons more details to go, are you at least leaning towards, I think I want to pick this up, or are you still doubting until they prove it to you it's worth it?
I mean, I'm more in for this than I am in VR, if that says anything.
Okay.
But I would like to think that I'm in the camp of leaning towards getting it. simply for the fact that I think that this will scratch an itch that I kind of have for my Nintendo, kind of wanting to get back into it for the love that I've always had, and being able to travel with it just speaks to me. But it just comes down to the price point. It comes down to some of the features, comes down to the battery life, and if it really makes sense for a lot of these things. So I am looking forward to more information, but I'm firmly in the camp of I could be convinced, but probably not day one.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, so I think we are ready to move on to the messages.
Message for you, sir.
So we're going to kind of just run through this list of messages everyone gave us and kind of answer them quickly because we have almost talked for 2 hours on a 3-minute trailer, as we said earlier. Yeah, so first one we got that came in is, what do we think of the name? So I'll go first on this one. Nintendo Switch, as odd as it is of a name, to me it logically makes sense. It at least gets you thinking about, what does Switch mean? Well, you switch between home and portable, and that kind of makes sense to me. It is an odd name, but it's better than Wii and Wii U by all means. So I'm for it. I'm good with it. Nathan, how about you?
I like it. It's fine. Like you said, better than Wii, better than Wii U. It gets the point across as to, hey, this is a switch in our direction. We're kind of going more towards games now and less towards Waggle. So I think that it's kind of funny. We talked on the chat earlier that it's kind of a funny name because, Switch could be used for, go out, fetch me a Switch so I can teach you some manners. Something like that. It's just kind of funny. Old world terms that have meaning to current words. But I think it's fine. The name doesn't matter. And I think that it's great to name it the Switch because there won't be any confusion whether this is an upgrade to the Wii U or what. It's not like the Wii U Plus, or the Wii U Pro. This is nothing to do with the Wii, and I think that's important for them to get away from that Wii moniker at this point.
I agree. Donnie, what do you think?
I love it. I love how they use the sound in the trailer to kind of make that click switch noise every time they did that. It was really good, like subliminal messaging. It wraps up the entire concept in one word, and anytime you can do that, that's a good thing for mass marketing. So I like the name. I like the Switch. I also like the logo. I love the little yin-yang, white and red kind of Switch thing. I like that too.
Very Japanese. Jason, how about you?
At first, I wasn't too keen on it, but I've definitely come around on it. I think what's the nice to see, we've already touched on, is Nintendo's learned from their previous things, is that they definitely learned from Wii U that nobody knew what the heck this thing is. So it's very clear in the title, as Donnie said, with the logo, it's very clear that they're trying to emphasize what this device is and what it can do. And it's not the best name I've ever heard. It's leaps and bounds above what Nintendo has done recently. So then again, if you think about it, GameCube wasn't that great of a name either, but it still works.
Yeah, it does the job. All right, so moving along, the next question: any concerns about when you split the Joy-Con controllers to play with friends off the same screen? It seems like you have less inputs. What might that mean for games, and what happens if you lose half? So as we kind of alluded, we both certainly think, and all signs point to Nintendo selling the controllers separately, as they are named L and R separately. It makes sense to me. You're not really losing any inputs when you think about it. So if you compare the controllers when they're on the tablet versus when they're broken off, correct me if I'm wrong, the only thing you're losing is the second analog stick.
Yeah, I mean, you can only use one pair of buttons and one analog stick at a time. Now, you can use dual triggers, and for that type of stuff, you may not be able to do things like that if you only have one pair of triggers.
Yeah, so I don't think it's going to be that effective. For me, the whole splitting with a friend, in my opinion, doing that on that small screen in my mind, I can't see that working that well. But I mean, I don't know. It seems like a really small screen to be split into two personally, but we'll have to wait and see how it plays out, I guess.
My kids liked it.
Anybody else have anything on the controller?
My kids liked it because they thought about playing like in the backseat of the car. They're like, oh, that's cool. We could do
Yeah,
it.
that scene was cool.
I also
Yeah.
wondered if it's possible that like it could be like a switch mode that games have with maybe like a dumbed down version of controls, because I do agree that you're not going to be able to do everything, but I think for the most part you can play, most games. So I thought maybe that's a concept. In that realm though, in that trailer, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we ever saw more than 2 people play on a tablet at a time. So like there was tons of 4-player local, where they were playing on their own tablets, but I think, and if so if you're a family of 4 or 5, having just one tablet, you may not be able to have the whole family play around the TV with just the one tablet at the same time, like you currently can with the Wii U.
Well, you might be able to on the TV, but not on the tablet.
Well, I mean,
So you think
I
you
never
might be able to do
saw
multiple Pro
more than
controllers.
2 people play on a tablet in the entire trailer at all. So it looked like you could
Right.
split the 2 controls, but I never saw like 2 of the Joy-Cons and a Pro controller on a single tablet. I never saw anything more than 2-player, 1 tablet. Because even with the NBA 2K part, they had 4 people playing, but there were 2 tablets.
Yeah, no, I'm saying on the television. If you're not using the tablet at all, you may be able to use multiple Pro controllers though.
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly. They didn't show
They
it,
didn't
but like
show it.
I can't see Nintendo taking out like Mario Party out of the equation. Unless you have multiple Switches. I don't see that happening. Like, okay, I'm gonna spend $1,000 so my whole family can play Mario Party. No,
Yeah,
not gonna
maybe.
happen.
Maybe
so.
maybe they have a
Does it get-
mobile thing. Maybe they go Jackbox.
Oh, that's true. Could do that too. All right. So next question is, what specs do you think this will hit when it's in tablet mode? So resolution and frames per second. This is kind of a tough question to answer right now until we see a little bit more. In my mind, I'm not expecting 1080p off the tablet. I'm just trying to be a realist here. I'm thinking 720p.
That's what all the leaks say.
but
That's what
I-
the dev docs say. That's what the dev kits have. 720p.
There you go. So I think that answers that then. So we did touch on this a few times a little bit, and this has been a big question with everybody, is what do we expect out of the battery life? And will it hit what we want? So we did point out, and Donnie said it a few times too, the tablet is thicker than you would have for like an iPad mini or anything like that. And that most likely is going to be due to the battery, I would think. What do I hope it? I hope it's going to be just as good as my new 3DS. Do I expect it to be? Probably not. As long as I get, I hate to even say this because I want it to be more than this, but I think my minimum would be like 3 to 5 hours. But that's me. What about everybody else? Let's go with Jason.
What did the 3DS get?
The original 3DS, I want to say, had 5 to 10 hours. That's if you did not use 3D.
Okay.
If you use 3D, it was substantially less. The new 3DS is better, but same thing. Whenever you use 3D, obviously it does take up a lot more juice.
Because some of the stuff I was reading is that people were saying, that the battery life is going to be mediocre, and then they also, along the same lines that these people also said that, that the 3DS battery life was mediocre also when it initially launched. I'm used to not getting good battery life with my devices. I have a laptop that lasts for about an hour and a half because it's ancient. I have a Wii U gamepad that lasts maybe 3 hours. So I got the new 3DS, so that's kind of nice. I'm kind of with you, Kevin. I think on a high end, I'd like to get somewhere between 6, I think, is my happy medium. I think realistically we're probably going to see somewhere in like the 3 to 5 ballpark though with what this has got to be. I mean, gaming is one thing, it consumes a lot of battery, but to have to power what this has to be able to play the games that it is, which I'm so happy that we are getting, that this is the full games. Like, we've heard in initial reports that we were going to see maybe a mobile version or something like that. I'm so glad it's none of that panned out and it's just the game all the time. So, yeah, I just, man, it's gonna be tough to get it, past that. But I still think I think getting close. I'll be happy if we can get close to 5 hours because that's a good length of time to be away from anything else and before you have to charge again.
I think so. Nathan, how about you?
What do I think it's going to get? 3
Yeah, what do you think,
hours.
and what do you wish it got?
I think it's probably going to get 3 hours. with typical use. I mean, you can have it probably idle or maybe just play like Netflix or something like that for longer. But if you're actually using processing power and playing a game like Skyrim or something like that, you're maybe 3 hours if you're lucky. What I would like, I mean, being realistic, I think that 6 hours would be awesome. That would be super stellar because that's long enough to do most flights unless you're going to a different continent, right? So I think that would be the sweet spot to hit because then, yeah, if you're on a road trip, it makes more sense, and you can not have to worry about power for a longer time. What really I want to know is if the battery is changeable, and if you could put in a higher capacity battery, if you so chose, or if that's just going to be a completely closed platform. With the 3DS, can you replace the battery there?
You can.
Yeah,
it's
you
not
can.
easy, but you can.
Okay. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility then, but I'd like to see the ability to put an extended life battery or something in there, personally, for me. As someone who would use this as a travel device, that's what I want.
Gotcha. And Donnie.
Well, for comparison's sakes, the NVIDIA Shield tablet gets about 4.5 hours of gameplay time. And I had one, and I can say it's about right. It's about 3.5 to 4.5 hours. If we could get that, I'd be happy with it. I think 3 to 4 hours is more than enough time to give you a mobile gaming experience without requiring you to charge. I don't really know. I don't think I can play Pokemon Go for longer than 3 or 4 hours without my phone. Definitely without my phone dying, but I don't even know if my iPad can go that long. So I think that's reasonable.
Why would you want to play that game that long?
I was just using an example. I mean, on my Wii U gamepad, Nathan, I have a Nyko battery extender that, I popped off the back and this thing came and it screwed right in and it doubles the battery life. It would be really great if they had something like that for people that really wanted to, to do that, even if they didn't care about the form factor, because it does make the gamepad a little weird to look at. But it does extend the battery life. That'd be nice. But if we could get more than 3 hours of battery life while actually playing a real game on all high settings, everything you could do, I think that would be perfect.
Alrighty, I think it's fair enough. So we did get a little bit of breaking news as we've been recording this super long podcast. Nintendo did come out and state that there would be no more official announcement this year, at least, on game titles or spec details, including region lock status. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but the hype is there, and I think they can still do announcements in other fashions on other types of things.
Looks like Jason called it. Jason said January.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think what we're going to hear is maybe some third parties coming out now saying like, hey, we're working on X, Y, and Z, which, if you think about it, it's not a bad marketing strategy on Nintendo's end. If Nintendo says, here's the device, and they're not going to talk about it anymore, the third-party developer is going to keep that wave of conversation going by saying, like, Bethesda comes out and says, hey, we're officially announcing these 3 games or whatever, and then, Ubisoft comes out and says the same thing, and all these different companies come out and say it. They'll keep the conversation going, and then if it's going to be January, February, Nintendo comes out and says, okay, here's more Zelda, here's your Mario, here's your Animal Crossing, here's your whatever they're going to throw at us. That's going to keep the hype going right up until the actual launch, which will be sometime in March, obviously. So I think that's going to be...
we got that Mario
Am I disappointed? Yes, but I think there'll be plenty of conversation anyway.
I was saying we got Mario Run coming too. That's going to be huge, and they're gonna jump off that announcement and all that big news and everything, because that's still confirmed for before this year ends.
Right. Yeah, I think this was just the beginning, the opening statements, if you will, for what's going to be the conversation around Nintendo for months and months to come. I've seen so many articles, about everybody's talking about it. My wife sent me an article as we were talking tonight from BuzzFeed saying, Nintendo announced a new console and the entire internet is freaking out. And it was just full of different tweets and stuff of people just going completely nuts for this. So, it was a great talk, guys. And we hope everybody listening enjoyed the conversation and the conjecture, if you will, of us. So before we leave, though, we'll take an opportunity to just give a quick few plugs here if necessary. Donnie, why don't you go first?
Come comment on our NX thread over at the website, placevideogames.com. We had a lot of nice comments. This was our highest viewed day of the internet, and while we're not in the business of getting clicks because we don't sell advertising, it is always nice to know that you guys care. You come and see and you comment and you give us the feedback that we're looking for, because that's why we do it. We do it not to entertain each other, but to entertain you and to engage with you, the listener and the fan. So definitely come visit us on the site and come talk to us.
Excellent. And Jason?
Not so much to plug, because, I mean, you guys have been around PSVG long enough. You already know what I do, other things I'm a part of, so you've already had plenty of time to check that out. I echo what Donnie has said. I would just like to close with kind of my wrap-up thoughts on everything. And, it's nice because, when seeing this device, it finally it doesn't, to me it doesn't feel like a gimmick anymore. It just feels like Nintendo's finally has just an application,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, finally, this is what Nintendo needs to do to be in a good place, to get them back. Am I going to say is Switch going to be the next revolution and it's going to change everything? No, but I think it's what's going to help make Nintendo relevant. And I think anyone that's a happy Wii U owner is more than likely going to be a Switch owner, and it seems like they're getting the attention of enough people out there that previously were not interested in Nintendo. So I think they've definitely done the right things here. Just the fact, and just seeing how the internet destroyed their Nintendo.com this morning, it was a good sign. So
That is true. Nintendo actually did, in fact, break the internet.
That's right.
Or the internet broke Nintendo, one way or the
right.
other.
It felt so good to put on the Nintendo track jacket this morning.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, Nathan, sir, do you have any plugs you'd like to talk about before we depart this evening?
Yeah, I mean, much like Jason said, you know what I do other than this, so check that out. But I do want to make mention, I was recently a guest on a fellow gamers podcast and had a good chat with Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants, over at We the Gamercast. So
he's a bum.
Great chat with him over there. So if you are so inclined, you can go find his great podcast over there. He's talked to a lot of good people in the gaming realm. And it's a fun chat. It's just sitting and talking about gaming. It's a good time. So go check out We the Gamercast, or you know what? Go check out our friends over at how about let's call out IGN. We have some good friends over at IGN. So go check out some of their podcasts. They're not very well known. Something like Podcast Unlocked. They could use some listeners. They talk about Xbox. Podcast Beyond, they talk about PlayStation. But they could use some listeners. They've been around for like 20 years, and man, they're really slacking on their listener base. So go check them out.
That's true. We like to support the little people here at Play Some Video Games. So good call there, Nathan. So just a reminder, you should all be very familiar with it at this point, but make sure to check out playsomevideogames.com. You can email us more messages, comments, concerns, etc., at podcast@playsomevideogames.com. Follow us on Twitter, which you already should be, at PSVG, facebook.com/playsomevideogames, Twitch, YouTube, iTunes, everything. We are just literally everywhere now. Unlike IGN, you just can't get away from us. So, we hope you've enjoyed this evening, everybody. The hype is real. The Switch is upon us.
My body is ready.
Nathan said it. So you heard it here first, folks. Nathan's body's ready.
Nathan, are you ready to switch?
Hey!
Na.
And hopefully you all caught that joke, so. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is now time for you to officially never stop gaming.
Thank you for listening to Play Some Video Games, the official podcast.